Hey guys, welcome back to another Soul Performance video, and today I'd like to go through the slant board. Every time I do post a video on social media, I get tons of messages asking me what exactly this is and where I can get one from. They've got Soul Performance written all over them, and I've got around 10 of them. Now, I've placed these orders through the slant board guy on Instagram who's completely blown up in the last year or so just because of Knees Over Toes guy and all the content that he's been pushing out into the world as of recent. What I want to cover today is the slant board, its uses, its origin, and how you can benefit from such a simple tool. So let's go. So essentially over the next couple minutes, I'm going to take you guys through the many purposes that this slant board has and how you can start to implement into your training program now. So originally referenced in Charles Poliquin's 1977 book, highly recommended by the way guys. If you're a strength conditioning enthusiast, I highly recommend you get this book and read it and study it and practice those principles, because fast forward years and years and years after Poliquin's death, we now realize how smart this man actually was. But essentially, cyclists used to use the cyclist squat to further improve their endurance and speed on the track. Now, what the cyclist squat does is it actually targets the VMO muscle, that teardrop that sits directly on top of your knee. And it is responsible for so many things, including knee stability and control. So when we go to run, walk, jump, sprint, squat, any of those exercises, we have full control, stability with the knee, the vastus medialis, the tibs, the hamstring, and this is what Knees Over Toes guy is all about. It's about piecing together those puzzle pieces in order to complete the ultimate athlete or the ultimate human being. All right, so first off, we have the cyclist squat. As we just discussed, many variations here. We have the back rack cyclist squat. We have the front rack cyclist squat. We have the overhead cyclist squat. And finally, we have the goblet or zercher cyclist squat. This can be done either with a dumbbell or a bar. Now you may be asking yourself, Coach, why can't I just do this on the floor? That's a great question. Let me tell you why. A lot of us, including myself, lack the required amount of dorsiflexion that our knee can travel over our ankle and past our toe. So if you struggle with ankle restriction, like myself, stiffness in the ankle, and it's an ongoing work in progress, we do implement some mobility exercises to help reduce that. But for me, this slant board gives me that elevation that I need in order to get into the bottom of a squat without any sacrifice of form in my lower back. And that is where most of the problems occur in a squat. People sacrifice their form by allowing that butt wink. They allow their butts to travel right underneath, get to the bottom of a squat, and all that spinal loading is occurring, and then they wonder why their lower back hurts when they squat. If you elevate your heel, it'll allow you to perform a perfectly executed squat, all targeting that VMO muscle we spoke about earlier. How would you program the cyclist squat? Well, you'd program it the exact same way you would program a regular squat, right? If you're looking to build endurance, you're a cyclist, I'd go high reps. You're trying to build that lactic acid and then push past, break past that brick wall. It is a burner, guys. I guarantee you try 100 reps on this, you will die. You will fucking start to walk like Bambi for the next 3 hours after that. If you're looking to gain strength in your quads, build size, I recommend anywhere between 8 to 15 repetitions with some decent load. And if you're looking just to build strength, pure strength base, you're looking anywhere between 3 to 6 reps there with heavy weight. This is a pretty simple self-explanatory one. Good old calf raise. How can you use the wedge for a calf raise? Well, you got a few variations. You got double foot forward, double foot out, double foot in, right? And then you've got single foot up and down. You've got double foot up and then single foot down. And then you can load up once you've established control with your body weight. I recommend a tempo of 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, touch, 1, 2, 1, 2, touch, 1, 2, 1, 2, touch. Anytime you're trying to grow a muscle, guys, especially the calf, which is a difficult muscle to grow for many people, you want to apply tempo. Tempo will achieve bigger gains and results. Moving on, we now are going to talk about the Patrick step down, right? Or the Poliquin step down, or whatever you'd like to call it. Now, essentially this movement, I like to categorize it in knee health and stability, right? Because that's what we're working on. This also helps in removing that crack in your knee that a lot of people have. Now, this can be scaled right down to the floor. So if I'd like to get started immediately with a newbie, it's immediately they're able to perform the step down right on the ground. You can lift that back heel even to get more range and then push away. Again, the common theme, knee over toe, VMO. If that's really difficult, they can hold on to something for balance, okay? And here you're working high repetitions. Then you'll scale up to a wedge. So here we're on the slant board, and that is its purpose with the step down, controlled. And then once you've established control on the wedge, you can elevate it onto something higher. And I'm using the slant board guys step stool to create a larger deficit, right? And again, this is just me at body weight talking to you guys at the same time, and it requires so much focus and control. Imagine loading this up. The main focus point here is that leg, keeping it out in front, and you're trying to put pressure on that VMO muscle, extending as far forward as you can, right? Putting pressure over the ankle and then pushing away. So next up, guys, we're gonna talk about the split squat. So essentially, it's a common theme you're starting to see here, targeting that VMO muscle, right? And lengthening, we're trying to find range here. And he always says, I don't recommend adding load until you have complete and utter control over your body weight. So with this ATG split squat, you're trying to lock out the back leg, and you're trying to get this front knee as far forward as you can, trying to get your calf to touch your hamstring, back knee off the floor, posturing up in the middle, and then pushing away through that VMO or your quads. Where does the wedge come into play is now they've created a new form of this split squat, which is a heel elevated, and then you're driving through with your heel elevated, and it's just giving you that extra range required to get as far forward as you can. Look at all that range it's given me there. Look at that, right? So I'm pretty much doing a split cyclist squat here. You can also load this up as well, bar on your back, bar in the front, bar in the zercher. Pretty much whatever applies with the cyclist squat applies with the ATG split squat. Now we're gonna talk about the Jefferson curl. So I've turned the wedge around, okay? So now my toes are facing upward essentially, which is going to allow me to lengthen as I descend down into that bottom range there. So essentially the Jefferson curl, guys, has allowed me to touch my toes, touch the floor, perform my standing into handstand press. Not there completely yet, but it's a work in progress. This has allowed me to reduce my lower back pain, increase flexibility and mobility, allow me to perform strength movements that prior had seemed difficult, and now because I can comfortably get into that position, I can kind of recruit everything that I need to out of that exercise because my body allows me to. I don't recommend it before a workout, but I mean, some people do it online and they're fine, so you can go for it. Each to their own, really. I started off on like a fucking 5 kilo dumbbell, literally, and I was just hanging out there and built my way up. This is a 25 kilo dumbbell, quite heavy. I don't recommend starting here, but if you are new to this, start very light. Even bodyweight guys, you get up onto a wedge and you just slowly descend down. You will feel this stretch in your Achilles, your calf, your hamstring, your glutes, your lower back, travels all the way up. So when you load up, you can imagine the length that it's creating. Now, I've been doing this for a while, almost a year now, and I've created some pretty decent range. I couldn't touch my toes prior, but now I can just get down there and pretty much hit the floor and then come all the way back up with control. And this is cold, guys. I haven't done a single rep before this demonstration. So you can imagine after a couple of rounds how much range I've developed in this position. But let's just quickly go through the Jefferson curl. It's head, neck, shoulders, vertebrae by vertebrae, descending down, knees locked out, head tucked in, extend as far as you can, extend your elbows, your arms, your shoulders, and breathe. You can breathe in and then breathe out. You want to hold this for anywhere between 1 to 3 to 4 minutes long. And the weight is kind of really dependent on the human. I literally do this every day, guys. Highly recommend it if you have really bad hamstring flexibility, and you will see results like that. So guys, that essentially is the slant board summed up in itself. If you have any questions, as usual, leave them down in the comment section below. As always, like, follow, subscribe, leave some love, show your support. It would mean the world to me. And until next time, let me leave you with a good quote. The Spartans used to say, bleed in practice so you do not bleed in war. Let's go.